So, how y'all are, huh? Yeah, having grown up in Mississippi and this being my home pets, it's always good to be home. You never quite know exactly how the reception will be, but it's always great to be home. And so, as it was mentioned, I was chair of this pets. Over the course of my life, I've done a lot of not smart things. I was district governor in 14-15, and in that year we decided to change the way the pets was structured, and so we moved to its current committee format, and I became the chair of the pets then. And it was a three-year term at that time. It was two, and also our club was having a little bit of trouble. And so I agreed to be club president. And so in 2015, I actually attended this pets as the chair, as the sitting governor, and as an incoming president. It was not one of the brightest things I've ever done in my life, but that's a true story. It's great to be with you here today. I want to share a lot of thoughts with you. There are several things that I want to go through. I do tend to be a little conversational in my style. I like to tell people, something like Greg this morning. Greg is so very polished, which is fantastic. Sometimes I wish I were a little more like that. I tend to be more conversational, but the upside of that is we get to talk, and that allows me to kind of, be more like Dad instead of real formal, and that gives me the ability to say, I'm not really angry. I'm just disappointed. Right? So that's not true at all. So a couple of things that I want to cover before we get going. Calgary got mentioned, the convention in Calgary. If you've been to a Rotary convention, raise your hand. Wow, that's fantastic. I did not expect that large a percentage. A Rotary convention will do as much for you to open your eyes to the internationality of Rotary as any event that you will attend. You will hear amazing speakers. You'll get to see amazing cities. It's just an amazing experience. And I would encourage you, if you have ever wanted to go to Calgary with me, this is your chance, right? We can go hit Calgary up together. It's going to be fantastic. And actually, Dave mentioned earlier to me, if you register before, I don't have my glasses on, before 1 April. So if you register this month, you're going to save $60. And I also started my career as a CPA. I listened to Greg today. That means you could register now, save $60, and immunize 100 kids against polio with that money. How cool would that be, huh? Yeah. So, go register for Calgary. It's going to be an amazing convention. I'm really looking forward to that one. Now, the other one is Zone Institute. Zone Institute is coming up in Columbus, Ohio. It's the week of Labor Day, and it is going to be an amazing event. If you're around me enough, you learned that I love to break rules. I told the committee, this is not the smartest thing you can say to a bunch of Rotarians either, but I told the committee as we were starting planning, I read recently, there is no innovation without disobedience. Yeah, imagine telling that to a bunch of people. A little bit scary to phrase it that way, but it's true. At the end of the day, if we are not breaking rules, or whatever those rules may be, they can be tradition, they can be whatever, but we aren't innovating if we aren't breaking rules. And so my challenge to the committee was, let's be innovative. Let's change, let's forget what we know, and let's build this thing from the ground up. Got several committee members here with us that are on the Institute committee, and I think they'll tell you we've got a really great event planned. It's going to be amazing. Columbus, Ohio, we actually got a great hotel right downtown. It's on the edge of the short north, which means as much to you as it did to me about a year and a half ago. It's a really cool area, lots of restaurants, lots of stuff to do. Going to be amazing. And if you register from now, registration is open. If you register from now to the end of the month again, you'll save like another 25 bucks off your registration, which means you would then be up to what? 60, 25, you would be somewhere around what, 46, 47 more kids you could immunize against polio. So another win for us. But I would extend a very personal invitation to you to join us at Columbus. It's going to be a fantastic event. I wanted to go a step further too on membership. This is not actually part of my, see, this is all free. You didn't pay for this. You paid for my speech. It's still to come. So this is bonus material. Patrick and I have been talking a good bit over the weekend, and Patrick is leading some really great efforts around membership and companion clubs. In our zones, we are beginning to put the structures in place to really affect the creation of new clubs. And I've talked to a couple of groups here this weekend. One of the things that we've got to do is we've got to begin to change mindset around the creation of new clubs. A lot of people, when they hear about a new club being chartered, they're threatened by it. It's a threatening thing to have a club chartered in your area. And I was talking actually to District 6840 just a bit ago, and I told them, you know, nobody gets mad when a new church gets created in your town. It doesn't happen. You know, we understand what that means for the community. We understand the greater mission. We understand where we're headed. We actually train and hire people to go out and start new churches. But somehow when a Rotary Club gets started in our area, we lose our minds collectively, and we decide it's going to be the death of our club. And we need to begin to understand that a new Rotary Club in our area simply appeals to a different demographic and gives the ability to grab people that we would never be able to get before. And I actually told 6840, and I say, this is being recorded, isn't it? Yeah, I'll say that when the cameras are off. No, you know, you can imagine, you know, the Tuesday lunch club being, you know, the Baptist church, and maybe the Thursday night where they have wine would be the Catholic Rotary Club. And so, you know, you've got a lot of leeway there in building a club. You can really make it whatever you want it to be. So I encourage you to think deeply about the idea of companion clubs and creating clubs. I don't want us to do that at the expense of our clubs. One of the things that I've learned too through Rotary International is that when you charter a new club, you need to understand, according to Rotary's numbers, something around 80%, maybe a little more, of the people that join a new club are brand new to Rotary. The other 20% are people you don't like anyway, right? So you can go start a new club and everybody wins. New clubs are not a threat. New clubs are an extension of our ability to do good in the world. And I think we really need to work around that. So you're going to hear about new club creation. You're going to hear about membership a lot over the next couple of years, obviously. You're going to hear it from Mario. You're also going to hear it from the Zone. We've had a lot of conversations around that, and you can expect to hear it. And we'll get into that too during the speech. And speaking of the speech, there are a few things I want to leave you with today. Really, and I told a couple of the groups that I've talked to over the last day or so that I want to leave you with one thing I always try to remember. I want to leave you with basically my golden rule of Rotary leadership, and that's at every level. And then I want to leave you with an idea of my why. Of why in the world, I get asked, why in the world would you ever want to be director? And that's an excellent question, but we're going to answer that some today, all right? So let's start off with one thing I always try to remember. And real quick, I understand, I know it's a pain, but work with me here for a second. If you are a president-elect, president nominee, stand up and stay standing for just a minute. Yeah, you can give them a round of applause. Yeah. So this is really encouraging. You know, stay standing. You can follow basic instruction, and I think that's fantastic. That makes you a lot better than the last pets I was at. Now, if your club is growing like a weed, and if your club has amazing service projects, and you both in your community and internationally, if your club has amazing social events, business networking, if your club is producing leadership at the district and beyond level, if your club is doing all of that, have a seat. And we got the 4-way test. All right. Now look around the room. Everybody that is standing here right now needs a friend. Everybody in this room that's standing right now is in the same boat together. Y'all have a seat. And this is where pets is so important, in that you have the ability to exchange these ideas, and you have the ability to talk with people who are in the same boat you are in. Now, if you are district governor, elect, nominee, designee, past district governor, RI employee, basically, if you didn't stand a minute ago, stand now. All right. Yep. Now, these people are your friends. These are the people that you can call on as a club president to help you as you deal with things throughout this year. And trust me, these people want to be involved with you and your club. Take the opportunity to call these people. Y'all have a seat. So here's the point of all of that. It was 11 years ago that I was a district governor-elect. It was 11 years ago that I was getting ready to become district governor. And I'll never forget, I was flying into San Diego. Back then, International Assembly, where they bring in all the district governors to be trained, was held in San Diego. And I was flying into San Diego. We were coming in, you know, obviously coming from the east. We're flying over the desert. I'm looking at everything, and honestly, I was feeling a little bit alone. I was the district governor, and I was wondering what in the world I was going to do and how I was going to handle it. And I was thinking through the coming week, and all of this was kind of weighing on me. And as we got closer to San Diego, one thing dawned on me. I was a district governor, not the district governor. And all of a sudden I realized that there were a lot of people that were in the same boat that I was in. And they had the same questions and the same concerns, and they were wondering how they were going to deal with their past district governors. They were wondering how they were going to move their districts forward. If you're a club president-elect, you're wondering how in the world you're going to deal with your board. You're wondering how you're going to grow membership. You're wondering how you're going to do these things. Congratulations. You're not alone. You're here with other people who share the same concerns and have the same problems and need the same answers that you do. And frankly, they're the same questions that we dealt with 11 or 12 years ago. They're the same questions that have been around for a while. And so the people who were standing a moment ago, your district leadership and your zone leadership, they are all here to help you. They're here to help you grow your club and help your club be more effective and to make you the best club president you can possibly be. So the very first thing that I try to remember at every step along the way is I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I've got a team around me. I've got people who have been there before. I've got people, frankly, I've got people who want me to succeed. They don't want me to fail. You're in the same boat as a club president. They don't want you to fail. They want you to succeed. And not only to succeed, but to succeed magnificently. That's what they're pulling for with you in this year. So don't forget you're alone, and don't forget that you have resources to call on. Now, the second thing that I was going to leave you with is kind of my golden rule of Rotary leadership. And throughout my time as a Rotary leader, from club president to district governor to club president to director, My question to myself has always been, when I was club president the first time, the Covington Rotary Club had maybe 25 members, 30 members, something in that ballpark. And my question to myself was simply this: if I've got 30 people in my club who are civic minded, 30 people who want to make a difference in the world, if I have 30 people like that for 1 year, what kind of a difference can we make in our community? If I can get 30 people who are civic minded and I can point them in the same direction for 1 year, what could we achieve? And then when I became district governor, the question became, if I've got 2,100 Rotarians that I could get pointed in the same direction for 1 year, what could we achieve? And now, my question is, if I can get 60,000 Rotarians pointed in the same direction for 2 years, what can we achieve? And that's what you have in front of you in this next year as leaders in Rotary. You have the chance to make a true difference in your community. But how do you do that? How do you go about getting those Rotarians pointed in the same direction for a year? And here's what I truly believe about Rotary leadership. And I've talked to the district governors-elect about this, I think I've covered it with the nominees. I truly believe that if you are a Rotary leader, you have about 3 or 4 things that you can really focus on in a year. That's it. I'm talking about the things that you really, really care about and really, really want to focus on. It's 3 or 4. In Greg's speech this morning, he showed that scene from City Slickers where Curly said, the key to life is one thing. The key to life is one thing. And Billy said, what is that one thing? And he said, that's what you've got to figure out. The key to your year, I think the second most important key, to your year as a club president is knowing that you've got 3 or 4 things that you can really focus on. The other things that are important, but are not the ones you really, really want to nail, you give to good people, you delegate those and you let them happen. But the 3 or 4 things that you really want to achieve, you keep your thumb on, and they are the things that you beat the drum about constantly for the next year. You've got to bang that drum. You need to understand that your Rotary Club marches to the beat of your drum. And if you say, well, our club has kind of been meandering for a few years, your club has not had a constant drum beat. There has not been a constant drum beat. And so it's your job, just like Curly said this morning, you've got to figure it out. What are your 3 or 4 things? You may have picked up now that for me at the zone level, for Mario at the international level, membership is going to be a drum that is beaten constantly. If you want membership to grow in your club this year, you have to bang the membership drum. And you have to bang the membership drum constantly. It's something that you've got to talk about. If you want to increase service in your club, if you want to increase networking, whatever it is that you would like to achieve in your club this year, you have to bang that drum. You've got to decide what it is and you bang that drum for the year. And I promise you, at the end of the year, you can achieve these things. You can make those things happen. It's amazing what you can do with a year and with some constant focus and a group of people who are committed. So the key, and I won't get offended actually, if you take a pen and a piece of paper right now and start writing down your 3 or 4 things. Number 1 on the list, I would love for you to write number 1 on the list, and the governors-elect will tell you they know what the number 1 is. Number 1, membership. Number 1, membership. That's in my world, that's going to be the drum that you hear constantly from the zone. But you've got to decide in your club, what are the 3 or 4 things that you would really like to make happen this year? And if you're a district governor-elect, you've got to decide what those things are. And it's your job to actually bang that drum for the entire year. Now, the last one that I was going to talk about for a few minutes is my why. What keeps me going? What is it that makes me want to be a Rotary International Director? And I'm going to let you in on a huge pet peeve of mine, which means I'm going to give you the keys to the engine to irritate me. Right? There is a phrase that I hear all too often. And I hear it said, and I was going to actually, Biloxi Kevin, I think you're still here. Where are you? All right, excellent. I'm giving him props. This is good. This is not bad. Kevin and I were talking the other day, and he was talking about how he became club president. And there is nothing that frustrates me more than to hear a Rotary leader, a club president, a district governor, whatever, stand up in front of a bunch of people and say, I missed a meeting and they made me president. Have you heard it? You've all heard it. In ICU when they made you president? Dude, you win. I mean, yeah. That's the first time I've heard that. That's truly amazing. You might get a pass on this, all right? When you stand up in front of the people that you were supposed to be leading and you say, I'm here because I screwed up. I'm here because I missed a meeting. I'm here. I actually heard one guy at a microphone at an event, and he went on and on about the fact that he was paying for his sins by being club president. If you listen to anybody about mental health, if you listen to anybody, and I was talking to somebody earlier today, there is no one that is more harsh with me than me. And if you talk to anyone about mental health, what you will hear is we've all got those mental tape recorders, right? You're fat, you're stupid, you make bad decisions, you're an idiot. All of these things that play through our head constantly. And the problem that we have, I used to use, to be honest with you, I used to use a lot of self-deprecating humor. And I actually had a couple of people who care about me confront me about it. Because you see, the more we repeat these things about ourselves, whether we believe it or not, it becomes true. It becomes part of what we believe. It becomes part of who we are. And the same goes with our organization. The more we sit around and we accept the fact that I missed a meeting, I sinned, and therefore I became a leader, the less we respect the offices to which we are placed. And when you stand up in front of a group and you say, I missed a meeting and they made me president, you are abdicating your ability to lead that group. You have given up the ability to lead them because you've just told them, if I had a choice, I wouldn't be here. Right? And so, if you really want to get under my skin, just in casual conversation, mention that you're there because you missed a meeting. That's a great way to get under my skin. One of the things that we've got to understand with this, and I think this goes with Rotary leadership, is we've got to understand the opportunities that are in front of us as Rotary leaders. And this goes part and parcel with that. We talk a lot of times about the obligations of Rotary leadership. We talk about, you got to come to pets. You know, you've got to take a weekend and you got to come to pets. You got to go to district meetings. You got to do these things. This is what you have to do when you get into Rotary leadership, but we never talk about the opportunities. We don't talk about the amazing parts of being a leader. We don't talk about the fact that we have the chance to change lives. One of the things that I would encourage you to do, and I'm serious about this, is you should start on your phone or whatever you have, go through and start keeping count of the number of lives you touch over the next year as a Rotary Club president. Whether it's a club project, whether it's a global grant, whether it's a district grant, whatever it is, you start keeping track of the lives you touch, and you can start with one this weekend, your own, being here. Right? So keep track. And if you're, Covington Kevin is out here somewhere. There you are, right there behind John. So Kevin, I'm going to pick on you for a minute. If you stop and you think about what's in front of you for the next year, you're going to do Feeding the Needy, and we feed 6,000 people at Christmas in this project. Yeah, that's 6,000 lives touched. You know I'm going to drag you into some global grants. That's going to be a few hundred more. You're going to have Quackafalaya and touch a few hundred lives. If you keep track of this number at the end of the year, you're going to have touched thousands of lives. And next July 4th, a little over a year from now, a year and 3 or 4 months from now, you'll be sitting out back, grilling some burgers. Maybe your sibling is there, and you can look at them and say, over the last year, as Rotary Club president, I touched 7,000 lives in a meaningful way. What did you do? Lazy slob. Mom was right about you. Your mandate as a Rotary Club president is the broadest possible mandate you can have. Without regard to religion, without regard to political party, without regard to your economic status, without regard to your education, your job as a Rotary Club president is twofold. From the Rotary Foundation, we get do good in the world, and from Rotary International, we get service above self. How many other people in your community that you can think of have the resources like the Rotary Foundation gives you, has the manpower available to you, and a mandate that broad to make a difference in lives? And so, here's one thing I drop this at pets every now and then too. One thing I would love to have you do, they'll cart you away. They will wheel you away in a wheelchair strapped to it. But at your next club meeting, stand up and say, I cannot wait to be club president. They will consider you completely certifiable. But the truth of the matter is, when we begin to flip this on its ear, when we begin to think about this opportunity in these terms, all of a sudden finding leadership is no longer a problem. You don't have to freaking get somebody out of ICU. Right? You've got the chance. When we go to find Rotary Club presidents now, you wind up going to ask somebody, and it's like asking your 16-year-old to mow the grass. Fine. I didn't want to do anything this weekend anyway, But if we begin to talk about the opportunities that are in front of us, if we begin to think about what could be achieved, we can begin to recruit leaders at a greater level than we have been able to for a long time. Yes, it's work. Yes, you're going to deal with some people that you would rather not deal with. Guess what? As my dad, who grew up in Brandon, Mississippi, and raised me in Jackson, Mississippi, would say, that's life. But in return, you get an opportunity to change things. You've got an obligation. You got some obligations this year. You have an obligation to run your club meetings, but you have the opportunity to make them exciting and fun. You have an obligation to run your service projects, but you have the opportunity to make them larger and touch more people than ever before. You have an obligation to run your fundraisers, but you have the opportunity to raise more money so you can do more good. In short, you have an obligation to manage your club, but you have the opportunity to lead it. And there is a world of difference. Maya Angelou, the poet, amazing lady. I heard part of an interview with her not long ago. And I was really struck by what she said. She said, "There is one thing I do when I am going on stage, when I stand to recite a poem, when I go to teach a class, when I go to direct a movie." She said, "There's one thing that I do. I take along with me everyone who has ever been kind to me. Black, white, Hispanic, Indian, Asian, Spanish-speaking, English-speaking, gay, straight, living or long dead. I say, come with me now. I need you. I'm going on stage." So I've never felt like in my life I was without help. I had rainbows in my clouds, you see. She said, "So it seems right to me that each of us should prepare ourselves to be rainbows in the clouds of others. These people may not look like you. They may not speak your language. They may not dance your dances. They may not eat your food. They may not call on God like you call on God, if they call on God at all. But be a blessing to someone else." You have, great quote. You have the opportunity this year to be a massive rainbow in somebody else's clouds. You have an opportunity that I consider to be lifetime level. And you didn't get told that before you signed up, and I get that, but you're hearing it now. Grab that opportunity. In the words, we referenced another famous wordsmith today in the philosopher of our times, Eminem. Eminem said, if you had one shot, one opportunity, one chance to grab everything you've ever wanted, a lifetime opportunity, would you grab it or would you just let it slip? This is your chance. Understand you're not alone. Understand that you have a team around you. Find your 3 or 4 things and make those 3 or 4 things your drumbeat this year. And then seize the opportunity to make a difference like you've never had before. And by the way, as you go further up the chain, the opportunities get bigger. There's more work. I've got to drive to Effingham, Illinois tonight to speak at another one of these tomorrow. It's all right. Look at the opportunity. It's fine. I'm going to leave you with one more thought, one thing that I'll say. And I said this to my club presidents when I was district governor. My wish for you in this coming year, I hope I see you again at the end of this year, but my wish for you in this coming year is at the end of it, not that you say that was easy. My wish for you is at the end of this next year, you say that was worth it. Because that's your opportunity. Thank you.